Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Mind Your Business Show. I am your host, Milton Walker, joined today by Mr. Tony Calloway, the private money godfather. How are you today, sir?
Maestro, man, I am so excited. Everybody, we're excited for a bunch of reasons, but I want to tell you the first reason why I'm excited. I'm excited about you guys makes us an important part of your morning, an important part of your life for an entire year. Ladies and gentlemen, today is our 52nd consecutive episode of the Mind Your Business Show. We've been at this thing every Saturday for an entire year. So thank you for being here, because if it weren't for you, Milk and I just be here entertaining ourselves with some special guests.
I might do a little dance or something.
Yeah, like I said, we've had some fun, but it's just great the feedback we got about the show. So yes, thank you all for being here. This is our 1 year anniversary. And before I get to our guest, who he's going to light you guys on fire, what you need to do right now is you need to stop, drop, roll, text, call your friends, say, man, y'all need to tune into this. This guy is going to absolutely blow your mind. But I want to give thanks to the team that has helped to make the show possible. I want to thank the awesome Queen Versandra, who has been doing our social media and actually kind of got us on the road to this. I want to thank Nikki McNeely, who was on the show 2 weeks ago. She and Isvera, who's over in the Philippines, who's part of helping to get the word out and do a lot of the behind the scenes work. And I want to thank the Chief Technology Officer of the Private Money Syndicate, none other than my partner right here, the awesome Maestro Milt Walker. Because if it weren't for his beautiful, handsome, smiling face, you guys probably wouldn't want to look at me for 60 minutes. But thank you, man. I really appreciate your dedication to the cause. You're very special.
Thank you for your leadership.
Hey, man, I love all you guys. Now let's get to why you're here. We have the awesome king of Airbnb, the world champion of Airbnb, none other than Robert Koehler of Robert Koehler Enterprises. How are you doing this morning, Rob?
Fantastic. Morning. Thanks for the great introduction, Tony.
All right, man. Hey, now the beautiful thing about this is, all of us are here in Columbus, Georgia. So even though we're virtual wherever you are, Robert is one of my few local clients, and this guy is a phenomenon. And what are you just sharing with us off camera before we got to the show about his experience with Airbnb? We could not wait to share this with you. So Rob, we're going to go ahead and, with the time we have, put it to really good use and let you take a few minutes just to tell the audience who you are, a little bit about your background. So please go right ahead. You've got the mic.
That's quick and easy. That's always the most boring part of any interview. So I'm going to scoot right through this real quick. Born in Michigan, now living here in Georgia. Love being a Georgia peach. Never moving more north of the Mason-Dixon line again. This place is fantastic. The people, like you, the weather. I was raised in Grand Rapids. Moved to Columbus about 2004. Moved down here to support my uncle who was in the military. I enjoy vacationing, specifically the beach, sitting by my pool. I was saved at Cascade Hills in about 06, 07.
Okay.
And been here ever since, jamming away in Airbnb.
All right, man. Well, that's fantastic. Well, let's talk about Airbnb. Tell people what Airbnb, I'm sure we've all heard of it. My son, he travels a lot. I mean, he's even gone to Colombia, stayed in Medellin and Cartagena and Airbnbs. He never stays in hotels. So tell everybody what Airbnb is from the, say, consumer side, and then we'll get into your side of the process of Airbnb.
Quick and simple, home share. Share other owners of homes around the world sharing their home, giving you a value better than you could get at a hotel for an entire home for about the same or less.
Wow. Okay. All right. And so fundamentally, it's a technology platform that I guess creates efficiency out of what otherwise was inefficient, couldn't exist. In other words, the same thing that Uber did for cars, taking excess capacity. They created a platform where you bring supply and demand together. So Airbnb has done that. In fact, they're the leader. There are others in different niches. I know there's another one called, I think it's Inspirato, they're kind of really up on the high end, and
right.
A few, but Airbnb is the 800-pound gorilla in the home share, as you described.
It really is. You put it much more eloquently than I did. Thank you. I'm sure Airbnb will thank you for that. Look for a check in your mailbox later this week.
If talking about a gorilla can be eloquent, I mean,
That's right.
Well, thank you, thank you. All right, and all right, so well, this is our anniversary episode, so I want to ask. We're going to take this opportunity early and ask the maestro to let us know if we have any viewers who've tuned in. We had a lot of people say that they're coming, so if they've shown up, we'd like to acknowledge them and give some shout outs. So go ahead.
Yeah, we have a lot of people watching right now, but we do have a
Fantastic.
few people who are commenting right now. So if you guys want to ask any questions early on, you got any thoughts, please share it in the chat, and we'll definitely get to it. Nikki Johnson is joining us this morning. Says good morning. Um,
Good morning.
David Allison says hello, guys. Rick Jameson says so excited for this. So we got everybody in the audience just kind of on the edge of their seats. So I don't think we should keep them
Right.
waiting. I don't think we should keep them waiting. Alex Cross says Airbnb guru. So somebody knows you, man. Somebody knows you.
I paid him for that.
Right, right.
Milton, I paid
That's
him
a
for
paid
that.
spot.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, let's get things going. All right. So, Rob, how about describing exactly how B&B works from a real estate investor's perspective? Because again, people can go to Airbnb and see how to book and all the reasons why. But we work at the Private Money Syndicate a lot with real estate investors, and that's how you and I connected, in fact. And you're the first person who's actually an Airbnb-er I ever got to know, and just happened to be talking to one of the greats. So what are the reasons why you have chosen that strategy, and what is the model from your point of view as how you integrate this as the structure that you use for creating value in your real estate portfolio?
Right before I get into that, let me thank you, Tony, because I wouldn't be able to close on these 10 condos in Albany, Georgia that I'm closing on if it wasn't for the Private Money Syndicate. So I appreciate you linking me up with the money I needed to do so, the lending ability and the resources. So thank you.
You're
And
very welcome.
big shout out to Private Money Syndicate. You guys are fantastic. So to get into your question, describe how it works, my approach. Basically, mine isn't the only route to go, of course, isn't the only direction you go, but I look for a fully renovated, move-in ready home where I just have to drop in furniture and then list it. That has been incredibly successful for me. Literally, I don't even have to mop the floors. It's clean, ready to go. Basically, I work with Hands Free Hosting, who is my property management and cleaning team. They're fantastic. E&S furniture come in, they drop all my furniture in, stage it for me. I have 2 men in a truck, drop all of the other heavy stuff. I go get kitchen furnishings, and basically I can turn one in a day and a quarter. So from a real estate perspective, I'm looking for something completely remodeled, nothing I have to wrench on. I know there's other people that have that ability. That's not my specialty. So I look for something ready, full retail. I pay full retail plus. I'll often even pay all closing costs. I like to be easy to sell to because, again, your margins are so high in Airbnb. If you do it right, you can afford to pay retail or retail plus. Shh, don't tell all the real estate agents in town that. I don't know
Right,
you're
right,
jamming me
right,
on front,
exactly.
right? But it's really that fantastic. You look at a cash on cash return. Some people call it IRR, depending on how you do your math. It's between my lowest earner is 60%. My highest are upwards of 115, 120% cash on cash return. It's how strong the margins are. If you look at an average rental, let's say, is $1,500 for a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, right? And in Columbus, it's about the average right now. Uh, Basically, that breaks down to in a 30-day month, about $50 a day, right?
Mhm. Right.
My ADR, my average daily rate is about $134 right now. So
Wow.
when you extrapolate that out 30 days, that's an average of $3,750. So 1,500, 3,750, right? So it's easy so that's my real estate perspective. Find something, move in ready to go because I can fully furnish it in a day and a quarter, thanks to HFH, Hands Free Hosting, and E&S Furniture here in town, and of course you, Tony, Private Money Syndicate. And basically in a day and a quarter, 2 days at most. Let's say I close on Friday. By Sunday night, the listing will be up and online, all pictures uploaded. And by Sunday evening or Monday morning, it will be booked 30 to 45 days out, sometimes 60 days out. That's how strong the Airbnb platform is and how
Wow.
strong the Columbus real estate market is.
Well, let me take this all. Let's. I ask you to rewind mentally to what led you to use Airbnb as a model in the first place, and then talk about how that has unfolded here in the Columbus market.
Sheer greed. I wanted to build a pool house by my pool in the back. And so I started thinking I didn't want to pay for it, of course, right? I'm cheap. So I wanted to Airbnb it in the winters when I wasn't having pool parties, having friends over barbecuing, right? Because I heard the Airbnb market was strong. And I too, since 2010, have never stayed in a hotel. So I thought, why wouldn't I just put one in my backyard? So I started reaching out to folks. Nancy Wood was just fantastic in helping me decide to do this because she said, Rob, I do have a pool house. We're about to close it down on Airbnb because we're just tired of somebody being in it every day of the week. We can't keep people out of it. It generates a ton of money. She goes, you'll be happy with the revenue. She goes, but you'll never turn it off in the summer like we said we would to pay for it throughout the winter, right? Because it's such a revenue generator. She said, I urge you to not do that because you won't want somebody in your backyard every day of the week. That's how strong
Wow.
this market is. She said, go do what my girlfriend's doing. She's buying $80,000 to $120,000 houses, fully remodeled. It doesn't have to be fully remodeled, just move in ready, right? Clean, tightened up. And she furnishes it, and they make about 30 to 40 grand a year, fully debt serviced by the income that you make on Airbnb, plus
Right.
a positive cash flow of anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500. To your best properties can positively cash flow almost 2,000 a month if you do it right and you're in a good enough debt and leverage position.
Wow.
So it was
Okay.
Nancy Wood, my sheer greed, not wanting to pay for my pool house. And after a year of kicking around with her and other Airbnbers, I
Right.
made the jump. Bought a $65,000 house on
Hmm.
the north side of Columbus off Warm Springs that cost me a 64.9, and it turns about 35 to 39,000 gross annually. Three
Man.
bedroom, 1.5 bath. Doesn't even have a second bathroom, a full second bathroom.
So basically, these aren't the necessarily luxury homes that, I mean, when I think of Airbnb, and again, this is just me not having the benefit of, I'm thinking something that looks like you see in a magazine or something like that. These are just nice houses that are nicely furnished and kind of like somebody will go home to. Is that basically what you're
You're
describing?
exactly right, Tony. Wise man. Yes. All mine are working class homes.
Hmm.
I don't have really any ultra high end uh, marble countertops with heated floors and right. None of that. They're mostly working class,
Wow.
$80,000 to $120,000 homes. And I don't typically exceed or go outside those parameters.
Right, right. Wow. Well, that is very doable for people who want to explore this space. That's especially with money being very cheap nowadays, and some of the things. So this is exciting. I'm sure the viewers are excited too. So Maestro, any more shout outs and any questions from our audience?
Oh yeah, we had a influx of people come in.
I
So
told you he's going to become famous as.
right. So we got David Skiski asking how much is too much for security deposit for the customer.
I don't think there is such a thing. If somebody wants to state your property and they're going to be respectful, they'll pay it, right? The only reason why you're hesitant to pay or to, excuse me, to not pay a deposit is that you plan on acting like a fool, right? And I don't want you at my house damaging, right, my brand new furnishings I have in this home and this home that I offered up to you to stay at for the same or less than a hotel. But if you ask me what a typical deposit is, $500. And actually, I know David Botwinski. I went to high school with him. Thank you for tuning
Oh,
in, David. He just fired up one in Mexico. So with such a vacation spot, I would say he could probably easily set it at 1,000. But if he wanted to really attract, uh, I guess the price conscious
mhm.
shopper, probably needs to be between 250 and $500 on the high end. I would recommend.
Okay. Right.
And so Graham Keefe says Rob is also a Clash of Clans kings and got a following from the UK.
That is my friend in the UK. Yeah,
I
what's up
couldn't
to
wait
the
to say that. I couldn't wait to say that because it was hilarious when he put it in there. But
Graham is
well,
watching from the UK. Great dude. He is also heavy in real estate king over in the UK. So don't let him fool you. He's
Awesome.
sharp.
Right, right, right.
Glad to have you on the show today.
Melinda and Daniel says Rob has been a great mentor for her. So she's speaking about your knowledge in the industry. Um, Horace Solomon says good morning.
Hey, that's my classmate.
All
Nadia
right.
Lilutiu
Relate
said
to.
Liletu.
Yeah.
Okay, Scotty Rob and Nadi here.
All right. Very good
Melissa,
friends.
okay. Melissa Dykes Crossley says, "Hey everybody."
Hey,
Victoria Patterson is joining us again this morning. Says good morning.
good morning.
David comes back and asks, "Do you use smart pricing option on Airbnb?"
Without fail on every single one of my listings. It's never let me down. Ultra strong. I do make one recommendation that on weekends that you go and just turn it up a little bit, like all hotels do. Airbnb smart pricing tends to keep it relatively flat with minor increases for the weekend. I see that you can typically increase your prices on Friday, Saturday, Sunday upwards of 25 to 30%. So let's say you have a home that rents typically for 99 a night. I recommend if smart pricing's on it, will only bump that up to about 105 to 110. You can go to 115 to 125 easily for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Obviously, those being the most popular days for travel and stay, right?
Wow, that is fantastic. Well, Rob, I want to get inside some of the mechanics. Now, from the standpoint of you say furnishing the home, are you buying the furniture, leasing the furniture? And do you have, I mean, maybe you have a style sense, which I know I don't, as far as furnishing. Do you hire a consultant or somebody to do that? So let's talk about, creating that environment. We understand the home, the structure, the neighborhood, that stuff, but the experience obviously comes with being inside. So how do you curate and manage the financial aspects of that?
So I haven't considered leasing. That is actually an interesting option. I think I need to look into.
I can help you with
Soup. Thank you, Soup. I know you can. And we need to chat about that after. But no, currently I'm buying all my furniture,
that.
deploying it to the home, and I've been in about 4 years now, and I haven't had to turn any of it yet. But I know on my very first home, it's looking a little rough, so I'm
Hmm.
going to get in and give it a good steam clean and attempt to prolong its life. But yes, I have not financed any. I've purchased it all rather than lease. But that's something I should consider. You bring up a very good point, Tony.
Okay, all right. And now, what is super host status, ambassador status? What are some of those things? I guess y'all talk about the smart price. Are these some things that are internal recognitions for Airbnb, or if you could explain?
Yes, so Superhost, you have to have a minimum amount of stays and you have to keep a 4.8 out of 5-star review or better from the guest,
Okay.
amongst a lot of other metrics. And I won't bore you with all of them, but some of the biggies are you cannot cancel on a guest at all in a year time frame, right? Because you put Airbnb and that guest in a bad position, especially the closer it gets to their stay, right? So they want you to have your home available. Obviously, natural disasters withstanding, they understand
Mhm.
that, but those are some of the top metrics. 4.8 out of 5 stars or better, never cancel on a guest in the entire year, right? And obviously, positive reviews. And
Mm.
how do you get positive reviews? Keep your home clean, have the pictures match the actual stay and that perception, that actual stay for the guests.
Well, yeah, that definitely stands to reason. You can't have the experience like you see these food ads, like a McDonald's Big Mac, and then you open the box.
Yeah, you're like, that's not what's on the picture.
It's
But
not what
I guess I'll eat it. You're pot
Right.
committed at that point. You're pot committed at that point, Tony. You got to eat it. You got the box in your lap.
Yeah, wow. All right. All right. So now let's explore your um, uh, your unique strategy for picking property locations and that we're going back to the real estate side. So you mentioned for Columbus, which obviously, if you're not in Columbus, you don't know north of Manchester Expressway. But let's just, if you would describe the prototypical neighborhood that you would look to place properties in, and you mentioned price point. So I'll let you describe that however you want to. But if I were you and you were mentoring me, teach me what I should be looking for visually, mathematically, those dimensions of it.
For me, it was simple. It was, is it a neighborhood that I would live in, that I
Mm,
would stay in myself? And the answer to that question in all my homes are yes. Um, I used the term earlier. I'll use it again. Working class neighborhoods. That's where it's very affordable. That's why you can, where you can afford to keep your price reasonable, yet
mm.
still make a good margin. So provide a value to the customer, or as they call them on Airbnb, guests, and then still make your profit so you can feed your family. So
Okay.
working class neighborhoods, and these working class neighborhoods, the folks keep up their yards. They're great people. Uh, there's very few issues, right?
Mm,
Housing values are steadily increasing. So as guests are paying down the principal, they're they're paying you, essentially making equity in the home, right?
right.
On top of, so just working class neighborhoods is what I look for. And like I said, doesn't have to be fully remodeled, just move in ready. Or if you have just one or two minor things to do, like say like Melinda is doing, she is buying a home that's completely move in ready, but she's going to finish the bathroom in the basement where it's a half bath and needs some drywall to be done. She'll put in a stand up shower, and voila, you have a full bathroom downstairs. So if you have something minor like that to do,
Yeah.
uh, I always look at those homes too. But when you're talking about a complete remodel, ripping down the studs, you have to redo all the flooring, paint, clean, update cabinets, all new hardware, all new appliances. I personally stay away from that because I don't know if there's such a thing, but it's too easy to make money the other way and just paying somebody full retail, right?
Right.
Paying them off for their good investment in their home, furnishing the home, and then turning it into a strong Airbnb where you can afford to pay that retail in a working class neighborhood and turn a profit.
Wow. That is cool. All right, Maestro. Any more shout outs or any
Oh
other
yeah,
questions?
we got to do some catch up right now. We
All
got
right.
to do
Well,
some
go
catch
ahead.
up.
Go ahead.
Doug Kidder says sold in. Barry.
Doug,
Doug.
good high school friend.
Awesome.
David Allison says, "Hi Rob, do you only deal in single family homes or do you have any multi-unit housing?" I think you kind of mentioned something about that a little
Dr.
early on, but
Allison coming through with the smart question. He knows how to lead the group. Yes, so I turn try and buy levels into duplexes, and I do have multifamily closing on the 10 unit condo in Albany, as you know. However, I don't only do SFDs, but I turn SFDs, single family dwellings, for those that don't know what the acronym is, into a duplex essentially. So what I do, the stairs going down to the downstairs typically has a bedroom and a living area and a half bath, or sometimes a full bath if you're really lucky. I put in a door that's only I have the key to at the top of the stairs. I put in a sound dampener wall at the
Mm,
bottom of those stairs, so the top can't hear the bottom, and all of a sudden you've got a SFD 2 units, and you've basically increased your profit margin by about 22 to 30 points, right? And your cash on cash return by another 25%, because you basically made the basement a one. I've used basement loosely because it's not below grade, right? It's just,
mm.
the tri levels in Columbus, right? They're built into the side of a hill,
Right.
or
Yeah.
built up high. So they've
Hmm.
got usually French doors out the back and their own entrance. So when you wall that off, you instantly make a 1-1, and let's say a 3-2 upstairs. You have 2 units. Basically, the 1-1 will pay for and totally debt service the entire home. So you can
Mm,
look at the 3-2 as pure profit. It's that strong. 1-1s are on fire because of, I think, the pandemic and traveling nurses. Almost
mm.
all my 1-1s are chocked full of healthcare providers. And the 1-1, throw some numbers out at you, will do anywhere from 1,100 to 1,500 a month.
Wow.
1 bedroom, one bath. So you can imagine what the 3-2 does. And that 1,100 to $1,500. Sometimes I've made upwards as much as 1,800 on my 1-1s in months where there's usually a holiday. You can expect that in the Columbus market. They fully debt service, so you can imagine what the 3-2 does.
That is phenomenal. Now, something you and I had talked about, and we'll let Milt get back to the other questions, I'm sure, is that you have created some alignments with some institutions. You mentioned the healthcare professionals as a strategic relationship because they have a certain predictable need and you're there to service that. So share with that what you're doing there for a little.
Yeah, so local healthcare, the hospitals, I've reached out and have contacts in both St. Francis and now Piedmont, formerly, the medical center, North Side. And basically, when they recruit executives or talent, surgeons, doctors, physicians, nurses to the area, medical techs, you name it, administrative staff, I often get the first crack at them because they're often bringing them and recruiting them from another market, and they
Yeah.
don't want to buy a house sight unseen because you know how it is, like the Big Mac analogy. You told her, you see a picture, then you get it in person, you're like, yeah, well. So they come stay at my homes for a month, 2 months, sometimes 6 months, because sometimes it's just a long term. I shouldn't call it long term, short term contract, and they're going back to their home area or their homes. So they'll
Mhm.
often just stay, and they want a place where they can just go hang up their clothes, go to work, come home, rest, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, well, I think that's a very smart thing to do because, like I said, if somebody has, that's part of how we built the private money syndicate. When you see a recurring need or problem in the marketplace, if you solve it, then you know that there's others who need that solution. You just have to create the relationship. So that's now what of your capacity, what percentage of your capacity would you attribute to being filled with those by virtue of that strategic relationship you created?
Probably a good third,
Okay. Wow.
easily a third, and obviously that fluctuates, goes up and down, right? But
Hmm.
it stays pretty strong, and about a third of my homes are filled with those folks from the healthcare industry. However, it should be said that even if I didn't have that strategic alliance or relationship, if you will, in Columbus, Airbnb would fully meet my
Oh yeah.
occupancy demand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. And now you mentioned Albany. Now, again, most of the viewers are not in Georgia, but now describe that market from the state stance that Columbus is a tier 2 city, has a lot of things that attract people to Columbus, and you could plug Columbus because I love the city as well. But then Albany is a very different market, and you had a reason to go down there for what you're doing. So if you talk about both of those market differences and how you're approaching them with your business model.
Yes. Well, number one, I wouldn't be without you, Tony, the private money syndicate. So thank you again. I really can't thank you enough. You've been tremendous, you and your entire staff. The Albany market is interesting. If you consider Columbus a tier 2 city, I would, and I want to word this carefully, they're not quite a tier 2 city, even. Um, 75 to 80,000 population, whereas opposed to Columbus, we fluctuate between 260 and 320,000, right? Depending on how you calculate your numbers. Um, it is semi close to Florida, but yet it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't have a lot of those attractions you were saying.
That's why I
And
said talk about it because
yeah, the Phoebe healthcare system has migrated north from the panhandle of Columbus and come into Albany. And as I understand it, healthcare providers really like the Phoebe healthcare system. Physicians, administrators, all alike, executives really thrive and like the Phoebe healthcare system, for lack of better terms. I know there's four major markets there: Thrush, Caterpillar, and two or three others that my business partner Alan Anderson would be able to name, but I can't. I know they either have a manufacturing hub there or a corporate headquarters there. But other than that, there's a small Air Force or Marine base, one of the two there, of
yeah.
like 8 to 10,000 max. No, nothing like Fort Benning that's attached to Columbus. So how there's this demand, I haven't done a full market study, but all I can tell you is get on Airbnb on a random Wednesday in the middle of a month that doesn't have a holiday, and you can't book an Airbnb. There is only, last check, there was only 13 or 14 of them in the entire city, in the city proper. Now there's out and outliers, probably a total of 30 or 20 or 30. So there it basically demand has far outpaced
Wow.
supply.
And well, there's the university there, Albany State, and I think Miller Brewing has a canning facility, a bottling
Correct.
facility there as well. But yes, it's kind of a, in the old days we kind of say it's more of a mill town. It has a lot of industry, but like you were just saying, the medical uh, uh, facility center there is that population that you have a relevance and a relationship with and history with here in the Columbus area. So from the standpoint of, I look at replicatability of certain things, that's kind of, because they're moving from some other market to Albany, they're definitely going to be looking for somewhere to live.
That's right. Well, it's an interesting
uh,
uh, metric in Albany. Over 52% of the homes are rentals.
yeah,
So there's a big rental demand in Albany and continuing and increasing.
wow,
So we're working with partners to potentially build another 20 condo units in
that's great.
Albany.
You too.
after we do these 10, and I need to talk to private money syndicate, it comes to you, Tony, because we're going to need significant financing for that.
All right. I love those words. Significant. Well, hey, let me take this opportunity to connect with that. Rob is a perfect example of somebody who, as I say, find the money before you go find the deal. I mean, from the standpoint, I think what brought us together was a situation where that was not necessarily the case, and that's what happens for a lot of investors, especially new ones. You go get some on the line, and now, okay, how am I going to reel it in? So, being able to work with a capital broker who can help you to structure and help you to project, like forecast your demand for capital, and already have those things sitting, like I call it, like when somebody's doing a renovation, which Rob says, nah, don't do that with Airbnb. But when the labor shows up, you need the material on site already. You don't want guys standing around waiting for the lumber, the plumbing things to show up. You need the money there too. You need it just ready, waiting to be deployed. And so, Rob, I'm glad you said that, because that gave cause to me to mention to folks who are in real estate investing, or those who want to go into real estate investing, having access to capital is the lifeblood. Real estate is a capital intensive, industry. And so we're really adept at being able to solve problems, create solutions, and help you to accelerate your growth. And Rob, I certainly welcome the opportunity to work with you. And we want to invite, in fact, Rob, I'm going to go ahead and make this announcement. Rob is going to become one of our advisors as part of the Private Money Syndicate. So, we want to invite you to schedule a consultation by going to privatemoneysyndicate.com. And Maestro has put over 200 schedule consultation buttons. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but there are plenty of places. Just click the button and schedule a consultation, and we'll get you in contact with Rob or with me if you're talking about capital, if you're talking about Airbnb. But I think from what he said, Airbnb is a great way for people to solve a problem that travelers have, because again, it wouldn't exist without it. And for you to have a unique proposition for getting into real estate investing. So, Rob, before I ask you another question, Maestro, I know we have guests, so how about acknowledging those, and if we have questions, to let them communicate those, so Rob can answer them for us.
Yeah. So Doug Kidder says, Rob, is my buy-in the same? I'm afraid it's out of reach now. No. So he's asking. That's probably
Sure.
an
And
inside conversation too. So
hey, I know what he's getting at, because we have lots of
right.
these conversations. However, I want to go back to something you said, Tony. You're exactly right. The biggest mistake I made was I was locating deals, and I came to you very frustrated because, like you said, it is very capital intensive, and I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of my own capital getting into my initial 10 rental properties, and it was almost completely tapped out because I was reinvesting every dime I had into real estate. And so thank goodness I found you, and you set me on the right path and set me up for success. So I think you're exactly right. Before you find that deal, before you fall in love with a home, make sure your financing is straight. Make sure they come talk to you and get that done, because you know how frustrated I came to you. I had a smoking deal at a 15 cap, right, or an 80% cash on cash return, and I couldn't close on it until you aligned me with the right people. So thank you. So I think that's very important to be noted. I think you're spot on there. Number two, I don't want to put people off to remodeling, because I think there is a niche for that, and you can fully remodel and have those higher end homes. And actually, you're not swimming in quite as shark infested waters, because I think there's more. I think the majority of folks are doing what I'm doing, that working class home, where not so many are doing those higher end, right? Those 150 to $200 a night, where hey, I've got a pool table, foosball, maybe the whole home's automated with Google Home,
Right.
automated, those type. So
Right.
I don't want to put anybody off from doing that. That's just not my specialty. I can't offer any expertise in it. Now, getting to Doug's question is buy-in. I think he's wondering about, hey, literally, if I want to get in on one, how much is it going to cost me, right? The short answer is 3.5%, right? Because if you don't have a home, you can house hack, like they talk about all the time on these podcasts, right? Where you go live in one side and repair the other. Well, a traditional financier will, or bank will provide you what's called a 96.5% loan, right? Where you only have to come to the table with 3.5% down. You can do the math from there. So that's initially your buy-in, is what you're looking. Now, when you get to a level, a number that I am, you can no longer pull that off, right? They know you're a real estate investor, so I can't come to the bank with that story. I have to come to somebody like Tony
Yeah.
and the private money syndicate.
Well, let me address that. I'm glad that that came up in conversation. What if you could do 100% financing? What was the person's name? Milk. Ask.
Yes. Go ahead.
No,
Oh,
the person.
yeah,
Well,
that was Doug Kidder.
Doug. Okay,
ah,
Doug. I'm sorry, Doug. I didn't remember that. Yeah, 100. Now, when I say 100% financing, we've got right now over 70 people in the pipeline getting credit lines, and some of these credit lines are 0% interest. And with the cash flow that, man, this is crazy. You can literally be in 100% financing, especially if there's some value add that needs to be done to the property because you can refinance, pay that credit line off, and have. I mean, the rates are the best rates I've gotten are in the threes, like 3.9 on private money loans. So typically, a private money loan is going to be about 25 to 30% down on your acquisition, and you can get 100% financing on the rehab. But again, you need to do it such that you increase value, you can refinance, pay that debt off, potentially put some cash back in your pocket. But from a cash flow proposition, I think this is a marriage of two great scenarios: the cash flow structure of Airbnb and being able to fundamentally with credit lines and private money do 100% financing. And I mean, anybody who's got a 700 plus credit score can be in the game. It's not about accumulating capital investors, it's about creating access to capital to invest and having a strategy to deploy those dollars so that they create that spinoff and you can keep snowballing like Rob is doing. So, hey,
you're
that's your
exactly
answer.
right.
That's
You're
your answer.
exactly right, Tony. That is exactly how I started. You just laid out the exact plan. Um, I, to be candid, I was pretty fiscally irresponsible in my 20s. So when I rolled into my 30s, I didn't have a lot of capital, but what I did have is excellent credit, and I did exactly what you just described, and pretty much financed after my first two. Pretty much financed everything after that 100% by lines of credit. Rehabbing or adding value, and then refinancing and paying off that
Yeah.
secondary financing.
Mhm.
So yes, you can get into homes with literally just essentially paying $350 for the appraisal and tip that, but you can even put that on a line of credit at 0%. So you
Fantastic.
could when they say no money down,
Right.
it's a legitimate thing. You just have
Yeah.
to
I say
work
you
out some
just have
creative financing.
you just have to set the board up right.
That's right.
It's always the strategy. And from the standpoint that we do a lot of capital structuring for people, small deals, huge deals, and it's always again the strategy. How do we solve for X? That's the way I look at it. What is the problem that we have to fix, and then we go bring the experts in to make sure we can do that. Now we got about 10 minutes left, Rob. So now we've talked. I always say that there's always the polished side, and then you flip it over, then there's the other side. So Airbnb is great, but there's got to be something that, it's a business. So if you would kind of summarize the advantages and point out some things that people need to be mindful of, aware of, maybe they're not disadvantages, but if you would just kind of give that holistic commentary.
Super. Absolutely. So major advantages are obviously a much larger profit margin, right? A much higher cash on cash return. Sorry about that, guys. My phone was on do not disturb, but somehow somebody got through. So
I was
again,
say, Rob, you turned into a pinwheel.
I, so again, the advantages are big profit margin. Your cash on cash return is exponentially more than say traditional long term, right? Strong community in Columbus for Airbnbs, right? Your demand is through the roof. Your occupancy will be 95 plus if you do everything properly, right? Um, Again, Larry. So,
That penguin just doesn't
like I
want to
said,
quit.
incredible occupancy rates. Also, something it does that a lot of other long terms don't do is their maintenance and cleaned so frequently, right? Because you have to maintain a good status and ratings to stay on the platform to get that incredible demand to have Airbnb basically just drop guests in your lap, right?
Okay.
So you're not deferring any maintenance because you can't, because it will make it so that it will be as such where you can't continue to be on the platform if your house is in disrepair. So that is a big advantage, in my opinion, right? So no
Yes.
deferred maintenance means your equity is right. You're appreciating at a greater, faster pace than long term rentals. The disadvantages, large debt service, right? If you
Mm.
do like I did, you're highly leveraged. If you want to get to the table and you want to acquire homes, and all the furnishings, everything with no money out of your pocket, that's large secondary financing you have to do. So you have primary financing, paying your mortgage, secondary, a home equity line of credit or a 0% line, private money that they come to you for, Tony, that has to be paid as well.
Yeah.
Also, if your average stay is 89 days or less, you're actually exposed to hotel, motel, and occupancy tax as well in Columbus and in most cities. Albany, not yet. That's why we're migrating to Albany because there's no such tax there. So it is highly taxed or can be highly taxed, but the margin is such that it makes up for that, or
Okay.
can I shouldn't say makes up for, can overcome that. So those
Yes.
would say major advantages: large profit margin, strong cash and cash return, a lot of occupancy or high occupancy, a lot of demand in Columbus. But again, the disadvantages: high tax service, high tax rates.
Okay. Now let me ask a question. You said if your occupancy is it, you say is it under, if it's over 89 days?
So at 89 days and less, it's considered just short-term rental, and
Okay.
you have exposure to hotel motel tax.
Okay.
Where
So,
anything over that, right? So if you're at, but if you average all your stays for the year
mhm.
and they're over 90 days, you are not exposed to that. And believe you me, I figure out a way to make my average stay over 90 days, so I'm not exposed to that tax.
Okay. All right. So when you say that for that particular property, if someone stays for over 90 days, not you have it booked every day for 90 days, then it breaks that barrier so that you don't have to deal with the hotel motel.
Correct. As long
Okay.
as your average single stay is longer than it. So if I have a 100-day stay, a
Mhm.
2-day stay, and then two more 100 or 90-day stays, my average stay was 90 days or more.
Okay.
Therefore, no exposure to hotel, motel, and occupancy tax.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well,
I believe that's still the law. I don't like to give any tax advice. I
yeah.
say I believe that is the law. I let my CPA deal with all of that, and he tells me what I'm exposed to, and I basically write the check. But that
All
has
right.
been the case the last 2 years.
Okay, cool. Now, Maestro, any more acknowledgments we need to make because our time is starting to run out, and I don't want anybody to have shown up for our anniversary show at least didn't call their name, even if we didn't answer their question. And if you want to post your question in the chat, we'll make sure that either Rob or I are able to get an answer to you in Messenger. Okay. So yes.
Okay, yeah. So we do. Ebony says good morning, everyone. Faye Cole is saying good morning to
Hey,
everyone. Ryan Calloway is joining us. Says good morning, gents. Much love and congratulations. Um, we have Darnell Collins joining us. Says good morning, gentlemen. Class is in session. I love learning of other people's monetized pedigrees. This is great.
fantastic.
Then we have Matt Lou say, love listening to Rob, drop knowledge, great dude.
High
David
school
Ski,
friend, great guy.
right, right. David Ski came back and said, "Do you have a house cleaner? If so, what's the average cost you pay a cleaner?" I think you mentioned the cleaning service, but yeah, that's one
Hands-free
good
hosting,
question.
absolutely. And their prices range, but they're very, very affordable. Like I said, I couldn't do this without them. They are key to my success in managing my
Right,
properties
right.
and servicing them. They're out of this world.
Okay. David Allison says, "How do you handle cleanup between renters?" And I guess that answers the question too. I mean, you have a rental a cleanup management
Yeah.
team to do that.
Yep.
Um,
Fantastic thing about the Airbnb platform is that everything's automated from your messaging to your scheduling. So I share my calendar. They're called what's called co-hosts. I put in their email address and they see my calendar. So we don't even have to communicate. They just know on the day a guest checks out, they have to be out at 10 a.m. Same for all my properties. They have until 3 p.m. to get the property clean. So there's no communication back and forth besides them sending me an invoice saying we did this many cleanings, you owe us X. So it's truly automated. The platform is dynamite, hands-free hosting, out of this world. But yes, I handle it by getting a cleaning right after they leave and to COVID-19 standards, of course. And they've got a great staff that always completely takes care of the home.
okay.
Awesome.
And Versandra is joining us and wants to know, how do you handle bad social media when you are a business owner? That's a good question.
I ignore it. I've been I've been the victim of it, right? Because there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there, a bunch of booger eating window droolers using their living in their mom and dad's basement on their Wi-Fi, right? Not contributing anything to this world that want to run their mouth. if you do what's right by the guests, you can just put aside all that nonsense.
That's right.
Basically, I'm in this to profit and to provide an excellent service to our guests. So I put my best foot forward. I have all my homes are well taken care of. So I don't get a lot of that bad exposure. Is what it amounts to.
And
Awesome.
Versandra also says happy anniversary to the Mind Your Business show.
Right. Thank
Right.
you.
Yeah. Great,
Indeed.
great.
Congrats,
And
gentlemen.
awesome. I want my brother Ryan. I want to acknowledge him because a year before Milt and I started doing the mind, it just serendipitously happened to be a year. He had actually come to my office and videoed, and we uploaded on YouTube the very first. That was the inaugural Mind Your Business show, and a whole year went by. We never got back together to do any more. But the good things are here we are uh, after a year, 52 consecutive weeks, and we're going to start putting these on YouTube, so we'll be able to add that YouTube that Ryan you videoed for us. And I was looking at it the other day, and it was amazing how much younger I looked 2 years ago. But working on that too. Bob, I always say people tune in to look at Milt's face, not mine.
Yeah, I got a face design for radio
Yeah.
myself, my friend. So
All right. Well,
I understand.
we got a couple of minutes. Milt, anybody else? Let's just go down the list of names. We do want to acknowledge everybody, and then we have to kind of sign off, folks. So I'll
Yeah,
just run.
I think we named pretty much everybody. Zane Perry
Hey,
is
Ryan,
joining in. Satish VM Satman came in. He's back
man,
in, and he says happy anniversary. Well, he
thank you.
actually said happy Hanoi.
Oh,
And so yeah, so thank you all for joining us for our anniversary show. Tony,
awesome. Awesome.
go ahead.
All right. Well, Rob, I want to thank you. I mean, you just exploded some people's minds with how you broke down what Airbnb is able to do and how you're using that as the platform for you to develop your real estate portfolio. I appreciate all the plugs, man. Excited to be working with you. And if you would accept being one of our advisors, because there are a lot of challenges to being a real estate investor. And I'm not going to say that Rob has found an easier way, but he has found a way that you have a lot of support that can definitely put you in a cash flow position if you want to do income real estate. So I'm still learning about it. But one thing I do know is we've got the capital to fuel your growth and development in that space. So if he make himself available, I tell people if you got intellectual property, you deserve to be rewarded for it. So,
I'll
whatever.
definitely be reaching out to you, Rob.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so whatever he determines his time and knowledge is worth, I encourage you to make the investment because the man is making money. Okay, he ain't
Happy to
talking,
do it.
giving it. I always say that everybody who wears a jersey doesn't necessarily play the game. But this man
Right.
is wearing the jersey and playing the game and playing it well. I want to thank the maestro for putting us on the air again this morning, our anniversary. And I want to go ahead and sign off and tell you all I love you and appreciate you for making this an important part of your Saturday and an important part of your life. And as I always say, if you're going to go in business and stay in business, you've got to mind your business. And with that, we'll let Maestro take us on home.
And thank you all for coming. Thank you, Rob, for all the jewels you dropped today. Thank you, Tony, as always, for setting it up and, and leading us home. And thank you all and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we'll talk to you on the next one. Y'all have a great one.
All right.
Bye.